Today, I'm teaching all of you how to get better fighting IQ, and most importantly, how to use that fighting IQ in every scenario you're given. So we're going to cover off-spawn, mid-game, and end-game scenarios, so if you guys do enjoy, make sure that you guys are subscribed. But with that, let's get into the video. So what's the first thing you can do to get better at off-spawn and just fighting IQ in general? Well, my answer is mats. Learning how to get mats and learning that people don't have mats off spawn is super important. A lot of people don't know this, but when you search doom chests like this right here, you don't get mats. Notice how I don't get any mats at all from that. You don't get normal mats like in a chest, you get 30, I believe. And that means that at POIs like this that have a heavy concentration of chests like that, that means that 90% of the players will not have a lot of mats to work with off spawn. And that often means you can take advantage of it. Like here, I drop down on this guy and I have my dual mags out, very good for off spawn, and I start to spray this guy. This guy obviously doesn't have a lot of mats to work with, and instead of looking back and trying to spray back at me, he goes for trying to get mats. But remember what I just said, these don't give you mats at all, even the Avengers chest. So when he opens this after he places a wall, he doesn't get any mats, and that means he can't go and block me again. And that leads to him getting cracked, and now he's weak, and he doesn't have any mats. If he went for this chest instead, he would have had mats to maybe build back, and then get out, and then med. But he doesn't do that. And then eventually I'm going to run up to him, catch him in a corner, and then I can just chainsaw him to death. So make sure that you guys understand that off spawn, you don't have a lot of mats to work with, and that also means you can take advantage of that. Another thing I want to talk about is not forcing fights. Off spawn, you don't need to force anything when you don't need to. Notice how this guy instantly sees me, and he's been in the sewers. The sewers doesn't have a lot of loot. It has like 3 chests. You got 1 here, and then I think there's maybe 1 here. No, there's nothing. There's not a lot of loot really in here to work with. So that means that you're always going to be shambles when you're here. You probably more than likely shouldn't try to force a kill against someone who's stacked like me. I've had this whole corner of the peel out of myself, and that means that I obviously have better loot than him. And then he tries to push me. Obviously, I can outmat him. Notice how he's not even using any mats to build. He doesn't even replace this at all. I'm able to get a right-hand peek. He walks right into it, and he gets cracked right here. He didn't have to do that. He could have backed up, played his ranged, and played smart, but he doesn't do that. And then obviously I can get an edit on him. He runs into me. I'm able to hit him once again, and then he walks into my box, and I'm able to hit him 3rd time, and then pick up an elimination. Another thing, I actually recommend if you don't have SMGs, don't pick up the AUG first. Carry a striker AR instead with an attachment. If you can get this off spawn, this is way better, because up close fights, if you run out of shotgun ammo, you need to spray back with a weapon, and an AUG up close isn't going to do the work for you. So you need to understand that if you pick up a different type of weapon that is better for close-up scenarios, you're going to have a better off fighting. So now I'm going to show why picking up that striker was very important. As you can see here, I'm sneaking up on this guy, killing the boss. I couldn't resist. How could I not? He's going to end up killing her right here, and I know that if I don't jump in right now, he'll win the fight because he'll pick up the coin and see me, right? So I need to make sure that I don't give him a chance to do that. Also, if I kill him before he can get the stuff, he's going to become very flustered right here. As you can see, he gets too focused on me, and he doesn't pick up the coin for himself. And then by the time he realizes it, I've gotten over to the wall, steal it. He's greedy for the coin, tries to pick it up. I'm able to grab the wall, edit, and then crack him. And then right here, this is the very key moment. This guy has an AUG, right? You just picked up the mythic AUG, but instead I have this striker AR, and up close that thing beams compared to an AUG, and then I'm able to get all the loot that I need for free. And now that I've gotten all the off spawn fights done, now I can pick up the AUG. The first thing we're going to talk about in mid game is opening damage. Opening damage determines how you play a fight, but a lot of people think that you should just play the same based off opening damage. So this first example we're going to go over, we're going to talk about when you actually get a lot of opening damage. When you get a lot of opening damage and you see someone like this, it depends on who they are. If they're a really good player, maybe you don't push this, but when you see a player like this, or if I see any player like this and they don't create a bunch of space and then build a bunch of metal and just create a bunch of space, and I see them box up in the same box they got lasered, I see that as a free kill. If this person reacted differently, I might not have seen it as a free kill, and I may have played it more passive. But since I see him box in this box and I hear him armor his stuff off, I know probably one of the entrances is not blocked off, and then I can go over here. I'm able to steal this wall, put a little bit of a peanut butter edit on, and then I can just steal the cone, obviously, and then pick up a kill. This guy should have expanded, and he should have reacted to the damage differently. Now here's what you should do when you take a lot of damage. As you can see, me and this guy are fighting. He's going to edit out this way, and I'm going to crack him. This guy does a really good job of doing damage back to me, and then what he does is very important. Notice how he's going to make a bunch of space. He's not going to sit in the same box that he was. He makes a bunch of space for himself, and he expands. This means that I can't put a lot of pressure on him, and it forces me to take the fight slower. This allows him to get some meds off, and then we can continue the fight. If he did not do this, he would have died like the other player. And this actually leads into my endgame tips. My first endgame tip is to play to your strengths. For my example, I have the coin and I have the AUG. So I'm going to play range instead of pushing. And I know there's another player around, so if I push, then I put myself in a third party. So instead, I set myself with a good peak, and I put a cone above me, so now it cuts off the angle from the roof, so he can't see me. And then I can obviously now spray at this guy, and I play my angles correctly, and eventually this guy is going to peek me. And then obviously I can spray him. Obviously I have the mythic AUG, so I'm eventually going to end up winning that balloon battle, and I play to my strength there. Again, I noticed this guy has the mythic coin, so I didn't push him at first. But then he starts to spray me with an AUG, and he starts to spray me with an AR. That means that he doesn't have the pistol. He didn't pick it up. That means that he doesn't have a range weapon. And since I know that this guy didn't actually pick the pistol, I decide when he gets close to me, I'm going to leave. Because if I get to zone early and get set up, I can hold him in zone and play range instead of being up close. That is my advantage again, my range. So I leave, and I'm going to use my broom, and I'm going to get into zone. Make sure that another tip, I forgot to mention this in one of my videos, but as soon as the person looks at you, you cancel your broom. If you're going directly at them, that is. Instead of me still flying right here and just soaring in, I need to cancel the broom as soon as he looks at me. So when he starts to peek his head, that's when I cancel my broom and I start to build. Notice how he didn't get any shots off on me. That means I don't take any damage. That means the game's just easier for me. Then I just get myself on a little bit of a higher layer, and now I'm in a great position for the rest of the game. As you can see, this goes for any game you play. If you go early and you can get to zone early before anyone else and you have no one around you, that means that you can always have an advantage because you're looking back at others while they're running. Like now I can look back at the other two players and I can start to spray them. I'm going to eventually crack one of them, and then obviously he's weak. And me, on the other hand, I still have my Flowberry Fizz to work with, and I also haven't wasted any HP. And this guy has to burn all of his blue HP, and he won't have any for later. Another thing you guys need to understand is investing your mats properly. As you can see with this player, he's building in wood. That allows me to keep looking at him, and I can keep spraying him no matter what. But me, on the other hand, I use metal to get myself up. Now you may say, oh, this is a waste of your metal because then you don't have it for later. But imagine you use wood, build up, and then you get chopped out. Then you've wasted all those mats. You have to go through another whole set of mats. If you just use one set of mats, it's a lot more resourceful. Another thing we got to talk about is when should you go to zone. Right here, I am delaying it as much as possible because I know this guy's weak on HP and I know this guy's on low ground. So I basically have the choice of the game. I can do whatever I want, but I want to force this guy to have a tough time, and I want to force him to go down here. And since I do that, now this guy's stuck on the edge of zone looking at me. Notice how I cancel my broom again when someone looks at me, and now I use my hard mats and I build early. This means that both these players are now on the edge of zone. They're both caught, and now they're both going to get held. And eventually this is going to lead into my next tip, which is forcing the last two players to fight. As you can see, now that I've held both in equally, that means that they both are now forced to leave zone and they have to fight. That means that I've just picked myself up a free win because once I get the kill from zone, this guy's obviously stuck in zone. Eddie Brock couldn't do anything and he dies. That is going to wrap up this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys are subscribed. Go join my community. And if you want to see more videos like this, go check out these two videos right here. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.